Oh, bloody everywhere, isn't they? Yeah, a bunch of
Oh,
bloody snowflakes.
absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, bloody, oh. See them all over the place now, don't you?
Oh no, you can't walk
Yeah.
2 feet without seeing bloody snowflakes
Two
everywhere.
flakes, 2 feet. Oh, I wish I could walk
Oh,
2 feet without seeing the bloody snowflakes every bloody where.
yeah.
Yeah, slipped over last week.
I know.
Hurt me hip.
Yeah, they're
Hurt me hip.
dangerous, aren't they?
Yeah, they look pretty, and then
Oh,
there they are, all
yeah.
gathered on the ground, and then someone steps on them, then someone else steps on them, and before you know it,
Dangerous snowflakes.
yeah, bloody danger. They're a danger to society, those bloody
They
snowflakes.
are.
Bloody snowflakes. Salt, that's what we need. Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnet Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet Dale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. That show where two queer trans women are still getting used to
being
our
married.
combined surnames.
Marriage.
You're married. Because, you know, this is the only time in the week we really say our new surname out loud, and every time it's like, oh no, haven't practiced this enough, how do I do this?
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing?
Nondescript noises.
I mean, nondescript noises are a very relatable mood. Shall we start this week as we usually do?
Tell us what you've
The
played.
things we played. Well, I finished playing Inscription this week. Inscription is a fascinating little horror game. I don't want to
Happy with
say
it at the end?
I don't want to say too much about the specifics of it because, like, a lot of what's there is the surprise and the intrigue and the unexpected. But at the core, it is a game that does some very interesting, unexpected things with a very simple deck-building card game structure and some interesting horror narrative and some... It's made by Daniel Mullins, who made Pony Island and The Hex. You can sort of imagine where some of that what sort of things that might entail. I think that it does a very good job of reinventing its core mechanics throughout in ways that are interesting and feel like there is progression and development happening, and that give you room to get used to mechanics before new things are introduced to them. The ending, I was left with a lot of questions, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing in this case because it very much felt like it gave the tools to go back and look for the answers for the things that were given. Its entire final act, I think is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
There was a moment in the final act that felt 1000% made exactly for me and no one else.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited. I hadn't been, like, filming myself playing the game, but I had to hit record on my streaming software. I was like, I need footage of this. This is amazing.
Okay.
It's a real neat game, and I would recommend if you like horror experiences, particularly sort of psychological horror and sort of roguelike deck-building card game mechanics.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm going to buy you a copy of this
thank you very
because you need to play this. It is it's been a while since I've played a thing and gone, this would be
Jane must.
this would be a Jane game.
Simply must.
This is going to be the intersection of a few things you enjoy, and I think you're going to really dig it.
Heck,
Yeah.
I do it appreciate.
What about you? What have you played this week?
Oh, I played through Unpacking. Or
Oh, yeah.
Unpacking a Life game.
So did I. Tell me about your feelings about unpacking.
It was beautiful. I had a bit of a cry towards the end. It's quite satisfying in a way,
Yeah.
especially like the levels where you have full control.
Yes.
So, like the first level is you're moving into your big room for
Yeah.
the first time as a child. You have a single room and you have a small box of things to unpack,
Yeah.
and it's mostly stuffies and toys.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Things that don't have too much functional use and you don't need to worry too much about where they are.
Some soccer trophies.
Yeah.
And then you grow up a bit, and next thing you know, you're like, oh, I'm moving to uni. And here I am in uni, and it's, just got a little room here, and not much going on. Maybe, but I think that might have had a bathroom as well.
I think there was like a little shower, like a small shower space, but not much.
Yeah. I was like, you can see some of the things that are still travelling with me. Like the pig stuffy is coming with me. And got a Rubik's Cube, that's good. If you keep right-clicking on it, you can solve it. There's various things that you can mess around with a bit and just slowly get out of boxes, and then as you move through life, it's like, now I have some shared housing.
Yes.
I can't move most of the things. I can rearrange my own room.
Yes.
But, there's communal spaces, and I can only put, bits of stuff here and there, and... what do I share with everyone else? What is very much just for me?
Yeah.
And then moving in with a partner who's like, no, all of my stuff lives here. Your stuff is secondary and unimportant.
Yeah. This game is a bit longer, but it reminded me in some ways of what I really enjoyed about playing through Florence, which is one of my favourite little short narrative games on mobile, which is a game about, the sort of rise and fall of a relationship between two people. And I think what this captures really well, and that captures really well, is that idea of...
two levels.
Yeah. I think what it captures really well is capturing small moments that feel very significant and conveying them through very simple mechanics. In this case, just here's pixel art rooms, pick the thing up, put it in a place. And with very little words, charting what feels like a very meaningful story told through house moves are a very meaningful thing, and the way it uses what you can and can't change in certain house settings to tell a story is really impactful, I think.
And I think for most people, moving house is probably something you only do a few times in life, or a small number of times. I've done it 16, 17 times, I feel like, at this point. I'm not going to sit and count, but a lot of times I've moved house. So for me, it's I've got to an age where I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
If I can not move, that's great.
Oh gosh, agreed. And I think that, as someone who has moved a reasonable number of times, not as many times as you, I suspect, but a reasonable number of times, there is definitely some relatable things in here of some of the moves that happen in this game to new places that you go, oh, I've been in this situation and it was not a fun move. It evokes a lot with very little.
I think especially the moving in with I think it's a boyfriend.
That was
is
my
the impression
read.
that a lot of people get. Chat seemed to agree with me on that.
It's the energy of what's happening.
The guitar on the wall, but there's no space to put your ukulele. You've got a kitchen full of your own stuff because you have lived in shared housing before, but you're moving in with somebody who has a matched kitchen and all of their cutlery matches and all of their crockery matches, all of their cups match. And it feels like you're just sort of you feel in the way. I think if this had been me, I feel like I just wouldn't have unpacked any of the kitchen stuff. That would have lived in a box under the stairs or something.
Yeah, the game's really good, and I don't want to talk too much about what happens in the latter portions of it because I really like where it goes. But it's a real sweet little game, that.
Yeah. And despite not wanting to talk about the latter portion, I think it tells that story really well without any real words.
Yes.
The closest you get to words in this is at the end of each level, it will sort of take a snapshot of the last room you were in at the sort of roughly the angle you were at, and then it will caption it something like the first one is my first big room.
Yeah, and then you get the year of the next move you're doing, so you can get a sense of how much time has passed, and when you're done with it, what this place was to the person and how they viewed it, and it's a real good one.
It tells a really good story. It's got quite a satisfying thing. There was a couple of times when I was being told I couldn't put things in certain rooms. I was like, but I want to mash up and vary things a little bit. But no.
The frustration that you feel, I think, is deliberate and it
but
serves a purpose.
even when it's like when living on their own.
Yeah.
Like there's like, hey, why don't I just put like an ornament in the bathroom? What's wrong with having like an ornament in the bathroom?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
And it's like, no, you can't do that. This is forbidden from that room or that place.
I mean, you can hand wave a little of that away as you are playing as a specific character in their story, and them being like, oh no, I'm not the sort of person who'd put that in the bathroom. Oh,
they would never put their degree up in the bathroom. But yeah, it tells a really sweet story in a really nice way, and I had a lot of fun playing it. And who knows, I might go back to it at some point.
It's a neat little game.
What about you?
I played some Dorfromantik.
Another sweet little game.
Yeah, I finally got around to playing that. I've been saving it for a day where I was like, I want to stream, but I don't feel up to anything brain intensive. Dorfromantik, this is great.
Wait, have you not played it at all yet?
I have played like little tiny bits and gone, oh, this is going to be perfect for a I need no brain stream, and I deliberately saved it for then. I had to properly do. So, it's a game, you've got little hexagonal tiles, I think they are.
Yes.
You put them together, and in the regular gameplay mode, occasionally they will have objectives connected to them, like have exactly 5 fields touching this hex or something like that, and completing those will give you more hexagonal tiles in your stack. You keep going until you run out. One thing I really like about the regular mode of that is that if you run out of tiles, first of all, it doesn't say, like, game over, you failed. It's like, oh, you've completed this section.
Here is your score.
Yeah. The first thing it offers is, would you like to just have this map you've been making and just take it over to creative mode where you have full tiles to throw down?
It's a new feature, but I'm very happy with it.
It's so nice. But yes, I played exactly enough of the normal mode to unlock trains, and then I went in creative mode and I made a really nice little thing with no rules, and there's all sliders, so you can sort of be like, I want this kind of tile, or I want a combination of these on tiles right now, and I made a really big train network with a bunch of trains on it, and then at each of the different sort of points on it, I built little communities around it. Like, there's one that went out to a little lake district, and one that went up to like a very big housing settlement, but like one side of it was like the windmills and the other side was more the trees, and that's like, that's where they're getting the wood, and that's where they're going for the wheat over there. And then
you can build little narratives into the world you're building.
I was very much just sat making little stories about this little world I was making, and making all the trains go around.
And the music's very chill as well.
The music's very chill. The not creative mode is still very light on rules and very light on punishment and very light on actual things you have to do. Okay. And then creative mode is, I don't know, make a pretty thing.
Like, there is a scoring system in it. Like, the more tiles you can match, there's a house facing that side, there's some fields facing that side. Okay, can I find a tile with house and fields in that orientation? Okay, put it against there, I'll get 20 points.
Yeah, you get points for making things of the same type sort of
10
touch
points
onto each other.
Per side matching.
Yep, plus
I think you get a bonus for perfects.
Yep, and you get points for things like doing your objectives and whatnot. And
the objectives are what get you more tiles. So it's like, have a forest of at least this size, or have an enclosed forest. So you've not only got to hit the target of how many forests it wants, or how many trees it wants in a particular forest, but you've then got to close that off so nothing else can go in there.
Yeah. It's really nice. If you're looking for a chill game to just make pretty little villages by putting tiles down, Dorfromantik's very good, and I recommend it a lot.
It is super charming.
Yeah. What about you? What have you played?
Oh, goodness. Well, we played some board games.
We did play some board games.
We played a game called What Next?
Yes. This is a sort of dexterity-based choose-your-own-adventure.
Dexterity, pattern recognition, choose-your-own-adventure.
Touch-feel-based.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you've got, like, little decks of cards, and each one will be like, here is your situation right now. Here are 2 options. What would you like to do? And there's a little bit of pressure added by the fact that there's a time of day thing going around. So every few turns,
you have to do stuff at night.
Yes, and nighttime is generally when bad stuff will happen. But yeah, you go on a little adventure, deciding what to do, collecting items as you go, doing little tasks that will be things like stick your hand in this bag and, without looking, find the right shape of tile within a time limit, or oh, something bad happened, you got to add a piece to this stack, and if it falls over, that's bad. And
Yep. While also still using the table.
yes,
So there might be things like, yeah, you have to shuffle this puck a certain way up, a distance up of this thing.
Yeah.
Or in one case, we had one where you had to shuffle the puck straight across the table.
we have a big table. That was difficult.
We have a big table, and some of those tiles, those pieces are quite sticky.
Yes.
Well, not like sticky, but like
yeah.
they're
They have a little bit of texture to them.
yeah, a little bit rubberized maybe.
Yeah, which I like that the things that are like something bad happened, you've got to start building this tower of items, and if it falls over, bad thing happen. I'm glad those are slightly rubberized. It's an odd texture, but
Yes.
it's clearly there to give you a fighting chance in the thing staying up.
Also, I loved how little plastic was in this game.
Yes, lots of things wrapped in paper or cardboard instead of being wrapped in plastic.
Yeah, so all of the stuff that was in bags at the beginning was in paper bags.
Yeah.
With like tape down.
Little envelopes, sort of.
Yeah, sort of. No, like little sweetie bags almost, like
Oh
slightly
yeah,
waxed.
that's okay. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
And then you had like the main box itself was just held shut with like it's magnetic, but originally it was held in place with a little sticker.
Yeah.
And there's 3 different stories in there, and
Yes.
even like the story that we saw, we didn't see all of the cards.
Yeah, we played one story and we saw a
version of
smallish
that
amount
story.
of the deck, and we had a fun adventure.
Yeah.
I was worried that the dexterity elements would be too difficult, but at least on the
Especially
starting,
for us.
yeah, particularly for us and our lack of coordination. But at least that beginner mission, we did okay.
Yeah, I think so.
It seemed to have the balance of we're gonna fail a few things, but not so many that it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Yes, it was pretty fun. I'm curious to see
quite
what else is
charming.
in there.
And there's a video introduction to each chapter.
The plot of that first mission was like very charmingly
The
handled.
drums of the koala.
I had a good giggle at some points in there.
And this is made by Big Potato Games, who made Don't Get Got.
Yeah,
And I can see that whole, like, it's a party game, and it's a bit silly, and we're having some fun.
it has that same sort of energy.
What about you? What else have you played?
Well, should we continue with the board games for a little bit?
Sure.
We played Streets.
We did.
Yeah, it's a sort of simple city builder where you make streets by laying down tiles, and at any one time you have 3 tiles in your hand to pick from. And each tile has a little objective on it, and those will add up with other things on the street. So it might be you get points for putting this on a street with lots of pink buildings, or for having owning the most buildings on a street or something. And you can close the street off at any time by like having a turn at the end of it, and then you sort of score up your points on the things you own on that street.
Yep.
But the mechanic that I think is really interesting is the people,
Yes.
the little meeples. So each of your buildings you put down get a couple of meeples of whatever colours the buildings are.
Except for wild ones.
Yeah, except for wild ones. But like generally they'll be like, hey, put some people on this, and they'll be worth points for the people on your buildings. But when you close a street, when you sort of close it off at both ends, all of those people, once they've points scored, want to go somewhere else. And they will go and find somewhere that is the right colour for them to move to that hasn't been closed off yet. And the person who closes off the street gets to pick where they go. Which means that there is a real challenge to trying to get things on the board in advance that will be there so that you can go like, okay, I want to grab all of those people that have been sat around for a couple of turns, close that street, now they're all coming over to my thing. So that you can sort of poach points for future rounds and sort of divert where resources go.
We only played a 2-player game. I can see this getting quite chaotic in
Oh,
player counts.
I could see it getting cutthroat in bigger player counts.
Yeah, because it goes up to 5 players.
Yeah.
And, like, just the idea that would just get more chaotic and more vicious, because I can imagine it doing so. Like, just we very much ended up in a case of I'm building my street, you're building your street over there, and who knows, I might throw "and building" into your street if I think it will benefit me.
I
in
mean,
some way.
I saw some opportunities where in hindsight I really should have shut your streets off, for example.
Yeah.
Like,
I would have appreciated that because I didn't quite have enough deeds.
I should have
to,
done so
to
myself.
build
I was
things.
struggling to finish the street I wanted to. I needed more stuff.
I think this is the problem. We sort of spread out quite far. As like, I'm
Yes.
building my street. You stay over there and build your street.
Yes, there needed to be. I really enjoyed it in 2-player. I'm very curious about larger player counts.
Yes, definitely.
It's a very simple teach.
Yep.
It's fun. It's very rule simple, but like you've got to be thinking multiple turns ahead of yourself.
Mhm.
I like this game a lot.
And it's from the people that bought you Villagers. If that means anything to anyone in chat.
That's good.
Anyone
Yeah.
in chat? Yes. Listeners. Lovely people.
What about you?
Oh, we played a whole bunch of Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion.
Oh yeah, we did.
So we
Oh.
finally got to play it in 3-player with the person that we'd sort of bought it to play with.
Yes, and they seem to get really into it, which is
They were very
good.
excited. They finally named their Red Guard character.
Yeah.
They're playing Red Guard. You're playing the Demolitionist. I'm
Yes.
playing the Void Warden.
We're 4 missions deep, and
Yes.
the next one I think is like the boss at the end of the tutorial, and we've basically, I think, got all most of the core mechanics now. It feels
As
like
far as I can tell, that is all of the mechanics now. We've got to learn how to fight
Yeah.
a boss, and that's it.
we've gotten rid of the training wheels deck, and we're on the proper deck now, and we're starting to gain resources as we go.
I think we get 2 extra cards each at the end of this,
Yeah.
which will mean that we've now definitely all got more than will
Yes,
go in our
and you have to
decks.
start picking how you're going to build your deck, but
Mm.
I really enjoyed this.
Oh yes.
Now that I have my character's starting set of proper abilities and I understand what my character's built for,
Mhm.
they can deal some real big damage with the right setup, but they need a bit of time to hang back and then go right, ready, big damage.
Mhm.
I've got abilities for winding up, so my next couple of attacks will do extra damage. I've got an item that will give me advantage. I've got a thing that will do massive damage if an enemy's near a wall, and a thing that will let me close the distance quick so I can sort of sprint over and big damage against the wall. Which has been very fun.
Yeah, that was a good one, and we kept sort of making up little stories about how you were brutalizing the enemies.
And I like how my character works with getting buffs for destroying bits of scenery, so even if it's not tactically advantageous to destroy a piece of scenery, I'm leaving bits of scenery nearby around the arena so I can go, if an enemy comes near there, I'll destroy the thing, get my boost to do the attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, how are you getting on with your character?
Taking a little bit more time to get used to because I have more cards than anyone else.
Yeah, you've got more options
I
than
think
any
you
time.
had 9 cards.
Yes.
Our friend had 10. I
You've
had
got
11.
yeah.
And I was like, there's a lot of cards and a lot of decisions to make, and the difference between the second and the third chapter, and then the third and the fourth chapter,
Yes.
were especially the third to the fourth were huge.
The 4th chapter was very big, very multi-objective, very we've taken the training wheels off and given you new tools, and suddenly you've got a very big thing to do.
Yeah, we went from I think we played through the first 3 missions in a couple of hours, and we're like, yeah, let's keep going. And we're like, yeah, we sorted all the stuff, we did all the intermediate stuff, we did the choose your own adventure aspect of the city.
Yes.
Where you have a whole deck of cards. You shuffle them once when you first start playing the game, and periodically you will pull one out, sort of between missions, you'll pull one out and read the back of the card and make a decision on it, and if you make a decision in one way, you might get a bonus of some sort.
What I'll say is, I don't think it helped that we were getting used to a variety of new mechanics, and also we did one of them slightly wrong and were probably less powerful than we should have been as a result. but also...
I don't know if it would have made that much difference, but maybe that's just my character.
I don't know, that I had a lot of, like, big buffs that could have helped with, you know, those enemies, the big enemies that were taking us a long time to chip away?
Yes.
I could have been dealing with them much faster if I'd realised. Because all of my, like, one of my element types of ability, no one else was setting up, and I didn't realise I could set up for myself.
Was that your leaves?
Yeah, which meant that, like, I wasn't using any leaf abilities, and some of those could have really done some damage.
Yeah, I really couldn't use most of the darkness stuff.
Yeah.
But like we've learned how to do it. We've corrected that thing before we got too deep into it.
Indeed. And I might do a Google at some point to be like, what's the average length? Like, do these even out in length at all? Was this an outlier? Like, I'm curious about rough play times for some of these.
Yes.
Might be useful
I feel
to know.
like that was, 2.5, 3 hours?
Yes. And I'm very curious if this was an outlier or if this is the standard we should expect going forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion.
I love it.
I had a very fun time, and I'm very excited to play more of it. We have a big adventure to play with a friend.
Have a big adventure. I'm glad we're enjoying it because I've ordered Frosthaven, so we're going to have an even bigger adventure.
We're going to have so many adventures to do.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying the story as well, amongst other things. Like we've got this whole plot about we just wanted to get home, and then we were waylaid, and then that led to a thing, and that led to another thing, and
we're adding the little stickers to the map to sort of build our journey we've been on, and
like the way the story led into the maps itself. Like there was a mission set on a boat, I think.
Yes.
And it started with there's two people standing outside a door, and literally the map was here is a sort of alleyway thing. There's these two guys standing outside a door. Once you open the door, you'll know what's on the other side, but good luck.
Yeah, it's real fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens furthermore going forward with that.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you played anything else?
We played some Scythe with that friend.
We did. We played some Scythe.
We had a good game of Scythe. We taught some mechanics.
Yep. Because we're going to play. Basically, we are planning a big game of Battlestar and Scythe next week.
Yeah, we're doing some big 6-player board games.
One less person to teach Scythe amongst the group might be quite nice, especially having someone who's only just learned it.
Yeah.
Who will? I'm probably going to sit them together and be like, "Hey, learn the thing together now."
We've talked about Scythe before. Big diesel punk post World War I Europe war game
with mechs.
With mechs. This game ended the way that so many games of Scythe do, where I was, in hindsight, probably in a winning position, and rather than take the final objective, which I could have done, going, I'll take one more turn to spread my units out to really secure the win. And then Jane was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go around, I'm going to fight those, and I'm going to fight those, and now those have all gone back, and I have those resources, and I've done my final objective. I'm like, oh no, everything fell apart so fast.
Yep. I had been doing the whole, I'm not going to fight, I've no interest in combat. I find combat one of the least interesting things in Scythe.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm happy building my engine, I'm happy doing my things, and twice during the game I got, for no good reason other than people were being greedy. Just I'm just gonna fuck over one of Jane's villagers, or snipe something from right under her nose that she's clearly spent the last 2 turns going for. And I was like, okay, well, fine. I'm gonna have some revenge on both of you.
It was also the thing my character was specifically built to be good at getting, and
you didn't have to get all of them.
Every one of them I get is good for my character.
You didn't have to get all of them.
I didn't
you
get
could have
all
shared.
Of them.
No, because I got 3 of them.
Yes! So I didn't get all
and
of
a friend
them.
got 2 of them.
See, that's 5 I didn't get. So
out of 13.
Yes, my character is... The whole thing that they benefit from is getting them, so I got lots of them. It was very fun, as Scythe tends to be.
Yeah, a great time.
Yes, I made the mistake, and I will remember this for future, of assuming that... I assumed in a draw, as in many games, victory would go to the defender. because
I did read it out of the manual before we started that combat.
yeah, I knew when that combat happened, but like I maybe wouldn't have. I might have ended the game sooner rather than give you the opportunity for combat.
Okay.
This is what I'm saying is, I assumed if you tried to fight me, I had the highest level combat card in my hand and enough to spend a full set of points, and I was like, okay, it's fine. If Jane tries to attack me, I can afford to win the combat as the defender, not realizing, oh no, Scythe rewards aggression. The aggressor wins in a tie. I'm like, oh no.
Also, my ability was to steal a combat card before.
Yeah, I also hadn't noticed that
So
was...
I could potentially have stolen the one card that would have done
I should
it
have
for
paid
me.
more attention to what your ability was as well, and double-checked what the rule was there.
Mm-hmm.
We do combat so rarely in two-player sides.
Because we don't enjoy the combat inside. But next weekend we're going to have to do a lot of combat, probably.
It's a good combat system, but I just don't want to pick fights with people. It feels mean.
Why would you want to do
Yeah.
that? That's not good.
Yeah. Did you play anything else this week?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did play something else. I played some Breath Edge.
Tell me about Breath Edge.
It's on Xbox Game Pass. That's why I'm playing it. And also, it looked like it looked sort of like Minecraft in space,
Yeah.
but not in a.
This one.
I'm trying to work out like what the other game was. Was it?
This is the one you would
Space
be like,
Space Engineers.
It was a little bit Subnautica in space. You were saying
Subnautica in space. Like I was trying to think of what the one that is basically Minecraft in space. I think it's like Space Astronauts.
Terraria.
No. It's literally 3D.
Oh, well, in that case, I don't know.
Like Astroneers or something. No, Astroneer was the like what if No Man's Sky was cut down one?
Yes.
Anyway, it's in space, but it's got this ridiculous sense of humour that really doesn't gel with me.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was a 13-year-old boy, I would still be into it.
Is it doing the lol so random?
No.
What? Okay. What we getting?
So you start off like you've got a chicken and you're on a little spaceship and you're doing some sort of ferrying something across the cosmos, reading your newspaper, and then the ship explodes.
Okay.
And you are basically seemingly the last surviving person. Mm-hmm. Apart from what I'm almost certain is either a rogue AI or an alien that just wants to kill me somehow.
Okay.
So I'm floating in space. There's a little tiny bit of a capsule. I can look around me. I can float around and be like, oh, there's some metal I can grab. There's some ice I can turn into water. There's some nutritional goo that I can turn into food. And slowly, like, working out from your way with only a tiny, tiny air tank.
Yeah.
But the mission, like, one of the first missions is build some crap the developers decided was important.
Okay, yeah.
And you are sent out to find a bunch of materials, and you craft it back on your base, and then you build it, and you put it down somewhere in your capsule, and it's a crudely rendered metal dick and balls.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a video you find, like a training video you find early on that is basically like, be careful where you're pissing in space. Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, I've got a good feel for what this is. Okay.
Like, one of the first things it asks you is, like, this robot is about to, like, start smoking, because the whole thing is done in flashback.
Yeah.
So every time you die, you get this, like, sent back to your, thing where you are right at the beginning, you're being interrogated by some robots, possibly made out of coffins.
Okay.
And they are beating the crap out of you and demanding to know the truth about how you got here.
Okay, it's doing the Persona 5 framing device, yeah.
If you die, it's like, no, you're lying, that's not what happened.
Basically, yes.
So, yeah, there's that. Like, and for the first chapter, I really wasn't enjoying myself that much.
Yeah.
because it's just miserable. Like, okay, I've got to get out, I've got to find materials, but I've only got 75 points of oxygen. Gotta find the thing. Please find the thing. Okay. I've found a condom, and I filled it with air, and I'm expanding my oxygen supply. Also, everything you make is just crap bits of metal that have been taped together with tape.
Yeah.
Which I like the sort of jury-rigged nature of it. That's fine, because that's somehow how space travel is.
Yes.
But it's like, we've hilariously named this metal thing, it's a scrapper. It's some bits of metal that you've taped together with some nails in it, and you hit things with it. It's got very low durability. And they'll like needlessly rename things, and then they'll comment on the fact that they've needlessly renamed a thing.
Yeah,
like ha ha ha! It's the master key. They used to call them crowbars back on Earth.
It sounds like it's trying way too hard to be self-aware in a not very good way, whilst also being kind of immature.
Yeah,
shock humory.
Yeah. Like, I'm liking when I can get away from the plot.
Yes.
I'm quite enjoying some of the, I found like a little like space bike thing.
Yeah.
I can make fuel for it, and I can move around a lot quicker, which has got rid of a lot of the grind of, okay, I need to have a load of oxygen candles, because if I don't have enough oxygen, I'm going to suffocate, but I really need to get to this other thing. But there's all this liquid coolant floating through space, so I'm very definitely going to have to like move between the lights. And I'm going to have to stand under the lights to stop my mask completely freezing up. Because if I can't see, I can't tell where the next light is, and I can't tell where I can get my next like set of oxygen from.
Yeah.
And then like build a thing to make an oxygen balloon that you can just like have as a little stop-off point to get more oxygen. I've finally reached a point where it's like there is some base building now.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that getting some base building done will sort of like move me on to the next bit. But yeah, not terribly interested in the plot, but kind of enjoying the loop of, cool, you are really struggling, and as soon as I found like a thing to make me move a bit faster, in fact every time I found something that made this game go quicker, I have enjoyed it more. Initial floating, not very good. Finding a kebab and developing a fart-powered accelerator made things a bit more bearable. Finding an actual, like, space motorbike thing, brilliant.
Yeah.
Love that. Very happy about the way I can move around. And I will probably keep playing for a bit more, but it's another one of those ones I feel like I'm hate playing. I like some little bits of this, I just wish huge chunks of it were not there.
Yeah.
What about you?
I've played a couple of other things. I'll rattle through quickly. I started playing some Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah.
Accessibility-wise, very good accessibility setting support in terms of things like good options for difficulty changing, including one that will sort of start you at the front of the pack in races. If you fall behind, it will slow the other cars down until you catch back up with the pack.
And spread them out.
Spread them out so you've got an easier sort of path through them when you need it. Stuff like that. The game has a lot of things like color blindness filters for the UI and the game. That being said, you can't. This is just this is an eternal problem with this game. All of its settings you can't actually preview from within the menu, so you have to like tweak a slider, go back to the game. No, not quite right. Tweak the slider again. That kind of thing. It's got most of the settings I would hope to see there. Cool thing that it is doing, but at the time of saying this is not in there, is that it's going to have American and British Sign Language interpreters during cutscenes. It'd be great if it wasn't just during cutscenes and if it was there at launch and if it supported more than 2 countries, but also it's still better than any other triple game I can point to in that regard, so, it is what it is.
More of that.
More of that, but I'm still going to criticise how they're doing it.
Oh, yes.
The game itself, beautiful, gorgeous racing game that has a lot of settings to make it easier to play. One of the settings in there is you can turn down the game speed as an incremental slider to slow it down. Down to 40%, which is real slow.
I know this because I edited this video.
Yeah. To sort of give yourself more reaction speed, there is a sort of driving line that will tell you, like, here's the optimal line to drive on in your car, and sort of where you should be applying the brakes and how hard and things like that, which is really nice. The game is... It's a gorgeous racing game with a nice soundtrack, if you just like the idea of driving around and doing races without too much plot. That being said, the game is set in Mexico, and the game has a weird attitude of... what's the word I'm looking for? It's a little bit colonialist.
Oh dear.
In that, like, I'll describe a bit of plot to you here. We've come from America into Mexico to have this big racing tournament, and we have, like, the grounds for it set up in this one spot. This big, like, this is where the headquarters is.
Right.
And then at some point, you decide, we'd like to expand and have more headquarters for our racing area across Mexico. Pick an area that you think would be cool to have one next, and in this example, it's just generically by the beach somewhere. And you go on this mission, and you get there, and you get to the location, and it's very clearly, like, remote, rural area, away from anywhere touristy, and in the blink of an eye, the game, like, essentially fucking star wipes to, like, and here's what we've done with the place, and, like, gone are all of the rural, like, remote homes.
We got rid of all the people who lived here.
It fucking looks like they flattened this tiny, like, remote village to drop down, like, a fucking, like, high technology racing tournament, mostly attended by Americans who've flown in. There's a bit where you find a fucking, like, ancient like, Incan temple or something.
Oh no.
That, like, it's not that far from, like, civilization. It's very clear people in Mexico would know where this historic find is. And it's described as, you've discovered. And it's like, no, this is like a fucking huge settlement. There is no way this would not be known. Don't tell the person who's come here from America for a driving tournament, you discovered their ancient history. Like, it's... Oh, and they want you to fucking set up a fucking... they want you to set racing stuff up in there, and I'm like, no, this is a historical fucking site, don't fuck with it. It's a very fun game, but, like, I can't turn off my brain, the bit of my brain that is like, oh god, you just flattened a fucking village to put down stands for American racing fans to cheer and wave glow sticks.
Maximum yikes.
Yeah. Didn't have that issue with the one set in the UK, but apparently the one set in Mexico's got this problem.
Oh dear.
Fun racing game?
Fun, it's just a fun...
have you played anything else?
No, not really.
The only other thing I've been playing is I've been playing the new Animal Crossing DLC. I finally have something to do with the final corner of my island. It's going to be a little vegetable garden. I've started to grow my little veggies, and I've got a little kitchen set up so I can cook things with the vegetables, and I can finally have more bridges and stairs in my island, which means that I've been able to connect the last few bits up the way I always wanted to, and I've been playing around a little bit with the Happy Home Designer stuff, which has been fun, and yeah, there's new reasons for me to play Animal Crossing, and I've missed Animal Crossing.
Yay.
That being said, I'd hoped I would be able to start streaming it, because one of the things they introduced in the update was ordinances, which historically have been for, like, altering the way your island works. One of the ones is the late night ordinance, which used to be, rather than your shops closing at 9 or 10, they will stay open later, and as a default, like to start in the old games, they'd be open till midnight now, and you could sort of upgrade it to eventually have them staying open till like 4 a.m. There doesn't appear to be a way to upgrade them here, and it takes them from closing at 9 and 10 to 10 and 11. It's literally a 1 hour fucking difference, which is a real shame, because 10 till midnight is when I like to stream, and it would have been nice to be able to actually use the shops while playing the game in streaming hours.
Yeah.
So that's everything I've played this week.
Well then,
Time for this.
Minister, how would you respond to people who have described your party's leadership of the country as needlessly callous?
Oh, that's just the stuff they know about.
And so what would you say would be more appropriate then?
Oh, despicable's probably a good word for it, I suspect. Don't downplay me with needlessly callous.
Right, and just despicable, is it?
I mean, you could probably throw monstrous on the pile.
Monstrous
Yes.
leadership.
Oh, if you even knew what I'd done.
And will we be finding out anything about what you've done?
Oh, ideally not, but oh, it's juicy.
Right, so you're hiding all the good stuff.
Well, I certainly wouldn't say that, but I mean, there's juicy stuff out there.
This is Manfred Manderson reporting live from British Discretion Time, where they would prefer to be described as monstrous if it's all the same to you.
Right, hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest meeting of the trans shadowy organisation that secretly rules everything.
We do secretly rule everything, and
Right.
I love it.
Indeed, I know. So, I just wanted to get a little update on what wonderful perks we have secured for the trans community that no one else gets to have, but only the trans people get. Who's got one? I've got one. Trans people no longer have to queue up in the lines at the theme parks. They get a special pass, and we can just get on the rides without waiting. Right, yes. Anyone else got one?
We've declared that the trans people don't have to go to work anymore.
Oh, wonderful. That's going to give us so much more time for shadowy evil business, of course. I've got one. Now, trans people can go to the cinema for free, and the screenings won't have anyone else in them, so they get to just have the screenings just to themselves. And it's like real primetime ones during like when the films have just come out.
We've also organised swimming pools. We're having the whole swimming pool most of the week. We'll release it like one day a week, maybe about 3 in the morning, and that the cis people can go then. But the rest of the time, swimming pools are ours.
Oh, wonderful. I think that this is great, and by next meeting, I will make sure to get it sorted so that we finally get that missing season of Firefly that no one else is going to get to see.
And cake.
Oh, and cake. Yes, there will be. Of course, there will be cake.
Yes.
Right, meeting
And
adjourned.
we're eating Joss Whedon into the sun.
Oh, yes, that too. Yes.
Without Firefly, you don't get any of that.
No, just for us.
Just for us.
Yay.
So, what have you put in your Imates?
I've not put a lot in my Imates this week. It's been a very busy week that hasn't really given me time to look at a lot of stuff. Let me have a look. I've mainly been watching fucking My Chemical Romance tour videos.
Yeah.
I watched The Black Parade is Dead, which was their final start-to-finish performance of The Black Parade, which was done in Mexico. Real good, real dramatic performance. Lots of very good, high-energy stage work.
Yeah.
I watched their live performance from Life on the Murder Scene, which, again, very good, very different vibe rather than being like a recorded stadium show. It's, I believe it's the first venue in New Jersey that they ever got a live show in, and they did a very tiny show in there on like a little cramped stage. Real good, and it still has one of my favourite tracks that never properly got a studio recording. Is only available in that fucking live show, and it's great. It is affectionately referred to as Stay or Untitled, but it's real good. And then I got around to rewatching because I just wanted visual stuff on while I was like, I need something I don't need to focus on. I watched My Chemical Romance return full concert at the Shrine, California 2019 Multicam by Leo Kershaw, which is their 2019 reunion show from multiple camera angles. Really nicely done. It's a very good way to watch that show. What about you? What did you watch this week?
What did I watch this week? I watched a few things.
Tell me about them.
Well, I watched a 2-hour and 42-minute documentary about the history of speedrunning The Hobbit video game.
Yeah.
So it just talks about like how it went from a kind of janky game that people had some sort of fond childhood memories of, but wasn't sort of great. That went from speedruns of like an hour and a half down to like sub 12 minutes. and just like the history of like who discovered this and how we worked this out and how we got the next thing, and like the things we discovered, and then like people like full on like ripping the game apart.
Yes.
And being like, I found a secret exit somewhere, and you can probably get to it if you can clip through this wall. And then it's like, what is better, clipping through that wall or finding an efficient way to the other exit? It was fascinating. A game I've never played. I don't think I've played. Maybe I have. Maybe back on the PS2 or something. It was released on a lot of systems.
Yeah.
But the documentary is mostly about speedrunning on the GameCube and the PC.
Ooh, that did remind me of a brief speedrunning thing I watched.
Ooh.
I watched a speedrun of a new kind of Ocarina of Time speedrun.
Oh, is this the one that's
the one in Smash Brawl? Yeah, in Smash Brawl you could unlock like demos, time limited demos of certain Nintendo games, but the full game was there. You could only play it for a certain amount of time. It's 5 minutes, I believe, is how long the demo is, and someone managed to complete Ocarina of Time within that 5 minutes. Now, it's not saying that they did a full game speedrun in under 5 minutes. The demo starts you off as adult Link with a bunch of equipment, and as a result, it's a very different start point from the people who are doing full game speedruns. But the fact that they were able to see the end credits roll within a time-limited 5-minute demo is real fascinating.
Real impressive.
What else did you watch?
Watched the two most recent Oxventure videos, both from EGX this year, I believe.
Yeah.
Johnny literally just pulled the Chaos handle and let them go for like an hour and a half at a time. I have never seen a D&D campaign go quite so far off the rails. So the first one was A Fate Worse Than Death. And the premise was, hey, you've all swapped bodies.
Yes.
So you're all going to have to deal with each other's character sheets.
Yeah.
And all your moves and so forth. Which led to some, how come you've never used this move? And all that ridiculousness. And it felt like they had a very clear mission. We need to get the key, and we need to go to this house and break into the house, probably navigate what is going to be a series of puzzles, and pull the lever to turn ourselves back to ourselves.
Yeah.
And almost immediately, they summoned a demon duck and spent nearly an hour fighting it, because it was big. Like a massive demon duck. Like, most of your combat time was spent fighting a thing you created and that was in no way part of the plan. I mean, that's the sign of a good DM.
Yeah.
Just to roll with it. But especially when you've got a time limit, like, we've got this stage for X amount of time.
Yes.
I was very impressed. And it's so silly.
It sounds fun.
And there was another one afterwards. I can't remember anything about it because the demon duck has just driven everything out.
I mean,
of my
the
brain.
demon duck is the most important thing to remember.
But
very clearly.
they were both amazing stories. What about you?
That's really it for me. I've really not watched much this week.
Oh, Tome Sweet Tome was the other one I watched. I did watch another thing. Where is it in my thing? I watched a 15-minute documentary about how to eat, forage, and store and cook acorns.
Ooh.
Didn't know you could eat acorns, but
good thing to know for the
coming apocalypse.
The end times, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have all these very important things. I watched a 23-minute video about building a quality USB-C microphone.
Oh.
Just like out of bits. So basically he's talking about the fact that very expensive microphones very often contain just very cheap parts.
Yeah.
Like, the parts themselves are not that expensive. So this guy's like, oh, I've got this idea for a design.
Yeah.
And here it is.
Oh, yeah, I see.
It's made mostly out of brass.
Yeah.
And it's it doesn't seem to take up a huge amount of space. This is on the DIY Perks channel on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's just this... It's quite satisfying to watch someone who's that good at what they do very cleanly, like bending the brass and just soldering it with a soldering iron or just a kitchen blowtorch for creme brulees, and just using like solder to keep the brass together. It looks absolutely beautiful. The sound quality is amazing and at least comparable to the same type of microphone. And like, I'm no sound engineer and I've got bad ears, but he compares it to a $3,000 mic at the end. I'm like, I think they're both good in their own right, and I wouldn't complain about having either of them. But yeah, it's literally just like, here is the inside of I think it's like a $400 mic.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, you can get this for like $12. And here is how I'm going to build a case for it, and here is how I'm going to set it up. It's got like got a built-in spider to like keep it from getting any vibrations. It's got a built-in preamp, so you don't need to buy an extra amp for it. It's USB-C. Yeah. It's got volume gain control on it. Just like, this doesn't seem like a huge thing, and it cost you $40 in materials. That was stunning.
Yay.
I watched so I've discovered this channel recently called Karen Puzzles.
Right.
She basically goes around and does jigsaw puzzles. Okay. Mostly jigsaw puzzles, like the ones that they go like, these are almost impossible.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the Hue puzzle?
Oh, yeah.
Like, she does that, and then she's basically recently been discovering a lot of these from the, like, mostly from the 80s, like late 70s, early 80s, puzzles that had like a treasure hunt aspect, solve the mystery, win $1 million or $10,000. And it's like, okay, well, you've built the puzzle wasn't the hard bit, it's a cryptograph, and you've got to work out what that means and solve the puzzles related to that. But the one that I watched was specifically about this puzzle that nobody ever solved, not at the time, and still can't be solved now.
Yeah.
And then talking about, like, there was a court case around it, and a lot of the intrigue around that, tracking down the people who are still alive to see if they can find any information about it, like what it all meant. And even when they were like, we think we know the answer, because we spoke to, like, the child of the original creator.
Yeah.
And we're pretty sure that is the answer, but we don't know how to get there based on this obscure as fuck puzzle that's been created.
Oh, so even with the answer there, trying to work out how to get to it.
Yeah. So, like, she talks about the stuff she worked out, like, with the help of her mum and her sister, and, like, what they managed to discover from that, and then, like, all of this investigation and the court documents they managed to get hold of, and finding information out from there, and, like, all the story around it.
That sounds real fascinating.
It's like an hour and 10 minutes long. Like, she's done other videos and they're not usually this long, but it's like an hour and 10 minutes of just this deep dive on this one puzzle. The little known $1 million puzzle that's never been solved, called The Money Hunt is the puzzle. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
I'm probably going to try and track this video down. That sounds really interesting.
What about you? What else have you watched?
I've really nothing else. It's been a watch light week.
Well then, time for this. Laura, we've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, are you struggling to get your cishet relatives to take you seriously in your own lived experience as an LGBTQIA+ person?
I mean, constantly. I tell them the things I experience and they just don't want to hear it from me. They're like, oh, you must be exaggerating, you must be playing it up, you know.
I mean, how could you possibly know your own lived experience?
Exactly. How could you know the lived experience of the group you are a part of? How could you?
Especially you, an LGBTQIA+ person.
Exactly.
How would you know? You'll be saying that you can advocate for yourself as a neurodiverse person.
Oh, God.
Next.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh.
Well. This week's sponsor is Phone a Cishet.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, if you need to talk to your parents and just, come out about some stuff and...
Yeah, get them to listen to my lived experience.
Yeah, they will send a cishet person along to any family gathering or coming out event, and they'll wear like a doctor's coat,
Ooh,
and they'll
very authoritative.
well, exactly. Maybe even have a stethoscope
Oh, a stethoscope does mean authority.
and a legal degree.
Oh, that's quite authoritative.
Right, they'll be so authoritative, and then everyone in the family will have to listen.
Because my points will be parroted by a cishet.
A cishet person who is almost certainly also allosexual, animalistic. So
I see. Yeah,
not even neurodiverse.
yeah. Well, I can't think of more of an authority figure that my friends and loved ones would probably listen to about my lived experiences more than me.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. That is the perfect thing. So head on over to phonascishet.lol.net.het and enter the code Q&PS 189. And you can get 10% off your first cishet.
Oh,
It doesn't say when you have to return them. As soon as possible, I hope.
Ooh, from what I can see, that promo code will make sure that they send you an able-bodied white man as well, which is really going to help on that getting listened to front.
I mean, certainly with my family anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phone says that. Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, I got a problem I'm trying to fix.
Right.
So we put up that gamer passport service where people can subscribe and get all our games day one on the service.
Then they're locked in.
Yeah, exactly. They're locked into the service. But here's the problem. We said we would give everyone the game, access to the games on day one.
Right.
On the service.
Yeah, locked in.
But offering things to people earlier for more money is more money.
I like money.
And I'm trying to work out if we can somehow give things to people before, earlier for more money without technically breaking what we said and giving the game to the free people for day one.
Well, I mean, we've been doing, the pay to join our beta system, something like that.
Yeah. That's obviously one way we can get in and we can be like, you're getting the unfinished game, but
and do us some QA.
Well, exactly. But I want to do the full game. You can have it. Because I want to make real FOMO. I want to be the game is done. You could have it today if you paid us more money, and it's finished. You're not bug testing.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to give us money, or you're gonna have to wait and get it late.
Right.
So I've got a plan.
Like the early access to beta, but without the beta.
Yeah, with it just being finished. And here's what I'm thinking.
Right.
We give it to the gamer passport people on day one.
Right.
But if you pay us $100, you can have it on day -4.
You are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, what have you put in your ears?
Oh, I went and saw some live music for the first time in ages.
Live music?
Yeah.
What?
So I went to see a show that Area 11 headlined in London.
Oh, hello.
With a couple of opening acts, and I'll talk about those a little bit. There was an opening act called Misery Kids that did a really good job of working the crowd. They clearly have some good skill at crowd hyping and being a support act.
Mm-hmm.
Their music is very clearly upbeat pop. Emo pop energy, but with sort of boy band love song lyrics to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sort of deliberately upbeat rock music over usually love song kind of sad lyrics that they deliberately contrast and clash a little, but in ways that they sort of clearly know is happening and have some fun with.
Yeah.
I saw a band called Wars, who were one of the other support bands. A lot less skill at being a support act. They were a very heavy, very screamy, very aggressive, loud band. And if you don't... It's hard to emotionally connect with music if you cannot understand a word the singer is saying and you don't already know the band to know what they're talking about. I had a good time just having a good headbang and having a bit of a bop to it, and not trying to think about that too much. I think I said this to you at the time. Wars has a real problem with their... how they tried to message something during their show.
Yes.
They had a song that, like, it's a band full of, like, bearded, gruff, aggy white men on stage. And before one of their songs, they vaguely said something like, "We try not to get too political in our music, but..." And then kicked into a song. And there's a bit of me that was like, oh god, are they... I don't know, but my radar goes, it's very possible you're a band of, like, you might be Brexity or fashy or something. And halfway through it, the singer very clearly screams, "Fuck the Tories." And the track was something like, what was it called? It was called, Small Monster, something to do with monsters. And I looked up the lyrics later and was like, oh yeah, this is very clearly like an anti-fascist track. They really needed to lead with "Fuck the Tories" and that sentiment, because you can't mumble something politics and then go into very angry, loud, angry man music that you can't hear the words in. But once I got that cleared up, I enjoyed them quite somewhat. And then Area 11, who played a bunch of stuff off of their, like, decade-old first album, because it's been about a decade, and, like, this wasn't meant to be a 10-year anniversary show, but then it got delayed by, like, 2 years because of the pandemic, so suddenly they were like, oh, I guess it's a anniversary show, we'll play a bunch of your old music, and I was like, thank you, that's the stuff I know. Because, like, 10 years ago, I used to see you at anime cons. Yeah, what about you? What did you listen to?
We went to a gay wedding.
We did.
It was very gay. We listened to ABBA and the Venga Boys, and apparently there was some psytrance just before we got there, so we can't say that we listened to that.
There was a lot of, like, wedding disco music.
Lots of, like, 90s upbeat. I think there's some Pussycat Dolls in there.
Yeah.
Some ABBA. I know they played Dancing Queen at some point. A lot of, like, classic disco stuff. Yeah, it was very fun and very queer, and both of the brides looked absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
Congratulations to them.
Congratulations to them, indeed.
Indeed. What about you?
The only other thing I listened to is I listened to a track called "Hungover in the City of Dust" by a band called Autoheart. This is a song that if I'd heard it out of context, I don't think I ever would have listened to it, because the context is there's a really good hook at the end of it that gets real good, and that has been doing the rounds on TikTok.
Right.
And it's a 5-minute long song. And the opening, let's say 3.5 minutes, are very floaty, very sort of almost aimless, and having read the lyrics, I understand what it's going for and why it needs to be as aimless as it is to build to what it's building to. But I want to
hear the bit I like.
I mean, not only that, it's like that is a lot. It's doing it to make a point, but it doesn't get to that point for the first 3.5 minutes, and it is a hard sell without context.
Yes.
To go, I'm going to listen to 3.5 minutes of a thing that's deliberately being aimless and not really going anywhere.
It's a B-side.
I mean, it's not even. It's a little bit prog rock, and it's trying to make a bit of a. It's trying to. My problem with this song's structure is the same problem I have with the tutorial to the video game Far Cry Blood Dragon, which is a video game that has a bad, formulaic, overly lengthy tutorial and then tries to go, oh, but we did that deliberately, aren't we clever?
No.
And I'm like...
No, because you did the thing still.
That's the thing. I'm like, yeah, I see exactly what you're doing here. You did still make 3.5 minutes of song that I really don't care about. The entry fee to this absolute fucking banger of a last 1.5 minutes that is like...
I'll wait for the remix.
Yeah, there's a bit of me that's like, I would listen to this more if I might just put it in Audacity and like chop it about a bit and try and make a version of this that I am more willing to listen to, because that last minute and a half is some of the best music I've ever fucking heard. And I'm like, why did you... Going back to Area 11, there was a track on their first album that was an 11-minute track. And the best bit of the entire album was about 3 minutes, wedged in the middle of that 11 minutes. And, like, again, in that example, yeah, I get what you were doing. You wanted an 11-minute prog rock track because you're called Area 11, and you wanted an 11-minute... It was the 11th track, it was 11 minutes long. I get it. Doesn't mean I want to listen to the whole 11 minutes for that fucking good 3 minutes. And that's kind of how I feel about this track. You've got a minute and a half of pure fucking gold in here that I have to listen to more than twice the amount of not grabbing me to get to that fucking banger. And like, the fucking minute and a half of it that's good is amazing. I've got it stuck in my head. I've had it stuck in my head all fucking day. I just don't want to listen to 3.5 minutes to get there.
Come on, y'all.
What about you? Have you listened to anything else?
We listened to a bunch of stuff together while we were playing Gloomhaven, so I was like, I need some generic fantasy music. I found a Gloomhaven playlist, which was alright. Then it auto played into the Divinity Original Sin 2 soundtrack. Then Divine Divinity soundtrack, Divinity Origins, I think, was the other one it played.
Yes.
And then I just moved over to the Skyrim soundtrack. Several hours into Chapter 4, we finally got the bit I know.
Yeah.
The Dovahkiin thing. I know that one from the memes. That was real good. And also I've been listening to an 11-hour reading of The Hobbit, because a bunch of absolute stars have uploaded the Audible version read by Andy Serkis to YouTube. So you don't have to spend any money on Bezos if you just look for a version of the Hobbit audiobook on YouTube, and it's about 11 hours long. Chances are it's that one. What about you? Anything else?
That's it for me.
Well then.
Time for this.
Right, okay. Thinking caps on, everybody. Thinking caps on.
Yes.
Okay, now, we've got to think about, we've got a lot of new products coming up. How can we needlessly gender them?
I've been having a thought about a product that everyone needs on a very regular basis we can gender.
Right.
Bread. We put some dye in the dough, and we have boy bread and we have girl bread. And...
Well, let's not be hasty.
Yes.
We have tactical man bread.
Oh, yes, tactical man bread. And it's like a millimetre larger per slice, but you have one slice less in the loaf, and it's like...
thicker crust as well.
thicker crust, yes. And, you know, we market...
Really work that job.
Yeah, the pink bread is like, it's a dainty...
Crustless.
Yes, a dainty princess bread or something.
Yes, so delicate for the girls.
Yes.
Yes.
What about you? Have you got any ideas?
Well, I was thinking perhaps, a lot of people buy houses. People buy houses or even rent houses. What if we gendered all of the houses?
Oh, I see.
So we'll have like a tactical man house, and it'll have like a secret door. You won't even know how to get in there. You won't even know where the door is. It'll be a secret. You'll have the only known to the man.
Well, see, my question is, what do we do then about cohabiting couples where there might be more than one gender? Will they buy a tactical man house?
Will they buy a tactical man house, or will they buy one of the houses that we've added eyelashes to all of the windows?
Oh, are you suggesting we could sell twice as many houses?
That's what I'm suggesting.
And they have to live in different houses.
They could maybe live next to each other, but probably not touching each other because, men probably don't want to touch the ladies.
No, probably not.
Probably not,
no. Oh, I've got one.
Right.
Dresses.
Dresses,
Currently,
yes.
already needlessly gendered, but like if
Right.
we swing the other way and we like actively lean into the manly man angle,
The tactical man dress.
exactly, we can double the market
It's
for
got
dresses.
pockets.
Oh yes, indeed.
So many pockets.
It's got so many pockets. It's
And
basically
belts.
just a dress with pockets.
It's just just pockets all the way down, and then like belts and somewhere to put like a bandolier and
Indeed.
just magazine pockets all over it.
I'm getting a call from R&D.
Right.
Somehow word has already gotten out about this. It has not worked how we thought. Women have just bought all the tactical man dresses because they had pockets.
They're too powerful.
Oh no, women have pockets now.
They've got pockets. Run
away!
They've got pockets. Run away! Putting a little wiggle on, getting breakfast ready. Getting breakfast ready.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna put some maple syrup in my coffee.
Oh, what would the neighbours say?
What would the neighbours say? That's an important question, isn't it? We go live now to Aaron Soupmasher, who's with the neighbours. Hello! I'm here with the neighbours. What would you say about this maple syrup in the coffee?
Wait, what? What's happening? What's happening? Why have you come into my house? Hello?
Yes, I'm here to ask what you thought about maple syrup in the coffee.
What maple syrup in what coffee? I don't know what's happening.
Your neighbours have engaged in, just deviant practices.
Why would you care what I have to say?
Well, you know how people say what the neighbours say?
Yes?
I'm here to ask you, the neighbours, what you say. Your comment, please. Please stop dodging the question.
I really don't mind if my neighbours have maple syrup in their coffee, but I do mind if you come here asking me what I think about it. That's intrusive.
Maple syrup in the coffee, absolutely fine. This has been Aaron Soupmasher live with the neighbours. Back to the studio. Question time. Let's have questions.
What's the questions?
Future Fidget asks, what are some good beginner board games for someone who has only ever played basic stuff like Monopoly? Can I get a boo and or hiss for the parent company of the place I work? Because I'm like 110% sure they're committing tax evasion. Boo and or hiss.
Boo and or hiss.
Boo and also hiss.
Boo and also hiss.
For possible tax evasion.
Okay, good, like, beginnery board games that go a step above, like, the basic stuff. I feel like Pandemic is a good step
Flashpoint
up.
Fire Rescue.
Yep, that's a good one for, like, that's a good co-op one. Again, Pandemic's a good co-op one. I think co-op's a good place to start.
I think co-ops are great for that. Star Realms?
Star Realms is good. That is a very simple deck builder, 2-player. You can get more than that, but
if you want something a bit, there is Star Realms Frontiers, which is 4-player.
Yes.
If you want something in the same sort of vein that's a bit more complicated, then the original Dominion 2nd edition would be perfect.
I think a place that you could go from say Star Realms and Dominion would be to something like Clank, which is a deck builder that has a traditional board game element on it, and the only real difference is, as well as having buying power and attacking power, you now have movement power that moves you around the board.
Tiny Epic Zombies, which is features a whole load of different things. It's got a really fascinating like small box with like a bunch in it. The fact that you've got like 3 different missions to complete every time, and out of a total of 9, there's different ways to play it. So you can play entirely cooperative, you can play competitive, you can play competitive of all versus one.
Yeah.
So everyone else is playing a competitive game versus one person who is like controlling the zombies.
I'm trying to think of some good games that introduce some other, like, mechanics that more complicated games have, but in simple ways. And it's another Tiny Epic one. Tiny Epic Max is a good introduction.
Games,
Yeah, if you want to learn about programming games where you've set up several moves and then watch them all play out and you can't change it once you've set them up, Tiny Epic Max is a very, like, good, simple introduction to that idea.
Flamme Rouge.
Flamme Rouge.
I think that Lords of Waterdeep does worker placement really well.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, trying to think without actually being able to see the board game shelf.
Yeah, the temptation to just go outside the office door and look at the board game shelf.
I think those are probably like some really good Carcassonne.
Oh, Carcassonne, yeah.
Oh, Ticket to Ride.
Yes, Ticket to
they're
Ride.
not my favourite games, but like if you want to move into like more like bespoke, like I keep saying bespoke and it's never the word I mean. Like if you want to move into more sort of hobbyist board games,
Boutique. No.
But like more of that sort of like more modern board games of like here is something that's a bit different.
Yes. Oh, another one that's not too complicated that is very mechanically different to the ones we've talked about. Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Oh, Quacks is great.
Is a game that is largely about risk assessment. You're trying to make a potion. You've got all these components in a bag, but if you pull out a certain number of bad ones, your potion explodes, and there's like other things that will help you score points and move further around this track. But you're always making the risk assessment of how much stuff have I got left in my bag? How many things left in there are there left in there that could kill me? Do I risk pulling another one out to try and get that a little bit further?
Yeah, accepting that there is a degree of randomness involved, but what the fuck?
But there's a little bit of randomness, but you are in control of do I take another pull on the known random odds? And if you screw up, you will, like, in my experience, I've always felt like that's my fault, I shouldn't have drawn again. Like, I knew I shouldn't have drawn again, and I did, and it went wrong, and that's on me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good starting selection.
Yeah, I think those are pretty good. They will get you going for at least a little while. Those are definitely ones I would recommend. Sushi Go Party.
I was gonna say that, yeah.
Especially in, like, larger numbers. Like, the original Sushi Go, if you can find it, is great. But Sushi Go Party is that plus, like, a bunch of extra stuff and loads of replayability.
It's a very simple party game with a lot of replayability about having a hand of cards, taking one, passing them on, and trying to create sets of things to score points in ways that don't give good things to other people. It's a real neat one.
Tricky asks, is accessibility an issue in board games? Yes.
Yes.
Like, we are people who struggle with dexterity games, so we wouldn't play something necessarily like Flick 'em Up.
Yeah.
Or Throw Burrito. That's probably not going to happen for us. Because either somebody's going to get hurt or something's going to get broken.
Most board games, to learn officially require a lot of reading comprehension and big walls of text to focus on. And
unless there exists a training video, you're probably going to have to deal with like a good chunk of reading.
Yeah. Price accessibility, because a lot of board games go out of print and become prohibitively expensive to buy some of the classics.
Yeah. And that, like, a lot of the more popular games, especially the ones that have come out of Kickstarter, things like Zombicide, which has become super popular, but it's like 80 quid to get the starter box of that.
Yeah.
It's lovely, but there is a lot of plastic in it, and I'm probably never going to get it for that reason.
Yeah.
It's just not practical. Space as well.
Yeah.
And probably, I would imagine, there is a risk of colourblind issues.
Yeah, that is always a risk.
I don't have colourblindness, but I could see how that would very easily be a problem with a board game.
Fine motor control can be a problem for a lot of board games, in that a lot of board games have small or flat or fiddly components, which can be difficult to
just
hold.
Not having any fingernails to get a card off the table.
Being able to hold and manipulate components can be tricky.
Yeah.
If you struggle with, say, with numbers, you might struggle with keeping track of whether you are winning or not, or like your sort of place within game states.
I mean, I very often have trouble with games where there's like a large amount of like point salad at the end. Like, I have to deal with all of this, and I have to try and count it.
Yes.
Like, I will very often just like I'll get a paper and a pen and a calculator.
Yeah.
But
Scythe is a real one for that, where if you don't have a head for numbers, you're going to have a real difficult time knowing whether you should or should not end the game on your turn.
Yes. But I think for something like Scythe, I would be very willing to say to people, like, if you want, you're most welcome to have a pen and a bit of paper. Like, if you want to take notes on your phone, that's cool.
Yes.
If you think that will help you as an like, I would be very open to like doing that kind of thing for accessibility for people.
Yeah.
Like, we often talk a thing with like spatial awareness when there's like tile laying or like building a tableau.
Oh, yes.
Where you've been like, can I put this on my board and check that it actually fits?
Yes, Meeple Land's a great one for that,
Yes.
where we have made our own accessibility-related rules, where we're like,
You can pick it up,
yeah.
you can put it on your board, you can turn it around before deciding to spend the money.
I can't mentally rotate that in my mind and see how it would fit. Can I pick that piece up and try putting it in place and see if it works the way I think it does before I make a purchasing decision?
Yes.
And, like, yeah, that you can... I think a lot of it ends up being dealt with house rules and informal agreements around the table of, this thing I struggle with, can I do this?
And, like, not playing fucking Scrabble.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the number of times I've been in a house and someone's like, oh, you like board games? Should we play a game of Scrabble? And I just, like, I clench because I don't know, maybe it's a problem with myself, just being like, I don't want to have to tell you that I really struggle with, like, that kind of word processing.
You shouldn't have to out yourself,
as someone with quite bad dyslexia.
Yeah. Like, that, you should be aware that certain games like Scrabble and Boggle, you should probably check whether the person struggles with, word jumbling in their head before you suggest that one, maybe.
Not only suggest it, but be really enthusiastic about it. The number of times that people are like, oh, we must play Scrabble. Scrabble's brilliant. And and if I can't get out of it for some reason because they're too forceful, A, I probably won't want to hang out with that group again. And B, I'll just have a miserable time going, well, I don't have... I've dyslexic plus aphantasia, so, like, short of sitting there and constantly rearranging all my tiles on my thing, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Think about the games you're offering to people, and think about, like, hey, what steps are involved in playing this? Could this be a barrier?
Mm-hmm. And I think, oh yes, Margul J Evans asks, do you have a favourite Life is Strange game? If so, which one?
Ooh.
I like the first one, because it's the only one I played all the way through.
The first one is very good. I have my one issue with, I think episode 2 could have handled some stuff better, and I think gamifying a certain element in that was not a great choice. It's fascinating.
I enjoyed what I saw of True Colours, was it?
Yeah. True Colours, very well made. I have nothing in the way of actual complaints about it. It didn't stick with me and resonate with me the same way, and I don't know exactly what that was. 2, I think is real. It's real good, but real intense.
I think it's the one I know the least about.
It's the heaviest one emotionally, and I appreciate that True Colours, even at its darkest, never got that fucking dark. Like, there's some amazing fucking moments in Life is Strange 2, but you have to, like, really be ready for a bit of an emotional, like, ringer to be right with that one. Life is Strange 1 is maybe still my favourite, despite it being janky and flawed and awkward. I still kind of love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is all the questions.
Ooh. Well then, it's time for this.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Brochure Justice Warriors.
Brochure Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
Alright, Larry.
Alright, Larry. How you doing?
Oh, mate. The night's drawing in. Gotta start putting the old daylight lamp on before it all starts to get to me a bit.
Oh, I know. It's that period of the year that as soon as it arrives, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember what this is like.
Oh yeah, here it is again. Whew.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a bit tired myself today.
Yeah.
I've been off trying to talk to my local elected officials.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like it's something that was pointed out to me a little while ago. I think it's probably very true. Is that the people that want rights to go away have a lot more time and a lot more energy and a lot more desire to go talk to their elected officials and sort of sell their point at them.
Yeah.
And look, I totally get why people who are historically disenfranchised by government don't feel any particular hope that their elected officials will actually listen to them, and that can make it difficult to
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's been blocked by my local representative for about the last 5 years, I can understand why people would think that, perhaps they are barking up a tree that is not listening to them.
Indeed, but I'm trying to do so because if nothing else, it feels worth a try to try and do have a punt, try and sit down with them, because you'd be surprised how many, disappointingly, how many members of Parliament here in the UK do not know about a lot of the issues that are facing the people that live in their constituency.
Well, a lot of them are Tories, and therefore I don't imagine a lot of them really care.
Yeah, but I mean, even within some of the parties where, some of the politicians who you'd think would care more are often just oblivious to what's happening. Like, if it's not making
concerning.
If it's not making mainstream news, it's not being picked up on, which is deeply concerning, but you've just got to sort of use that knowledge and go, okay, I'm going to do my best to get in front of them and tell them about stuff. You know, not start a fight with them, but just go, here are the things you might not know, and
please be aware.
Yeah, exactly. There are some hurdles that can get in the way of trying to do this. Things to know in the UK, you've got to give your full name, including title and address, when asking to meet with them. Otherwise, they won't set up a meeting because they don't know for certain you live in the area.
Yeah,
there's stuff like that. But you, in theory, have a right to have a meeting with your local politician, and if you've got things that matter to you, it's important that you make an effort to try and get those things heard, because the other side are definitely going to be making their side heard, and it's important to try and, get that stuff out if you can.
Yeah, you've got to be the squeaky wheel, and unfortunately, as has been said, a lot of these people who are, very much on the side of, trying to get rid of people's rights or stamp other people down, a lot of them are, they don't have any need to work, they don't have any need to participate in society, they don't find themselves constantly fighting for their next meal and their rent and so forth, so they have time to get involved in being the worst of the worst.
And I think that it's pretty obvious to see that people who already have positions of power probably already have connections to politicians and enough money that they can afford to take time off to go talk to those politicians. They are going to fight to get their interests heard. It's more difficult and more emotional labour for everyone else, but you should be trying to, do the same yourself if you can.
Yeah.
Fancy a hug?
Oh, definitely, mate, definitely. Yeah. Good hug, mate. Good hug. Yeah, nice. Right, I think I'm going to go off and have a cup of tea.
Oh, I'm going to go have a nap, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, Laura,
Yes?
we've got a book.
Yes, we do! It's called Who Hunts the Whale? It's about an exploitative, definitely fictional, AAA video game development studio.
And we're 60% funded.
Yeah, we're getting
Thanks to
there.
all of you lovely people.
We're ticking up, we're getting there. So if you would like to read a novel that myself and Jane have written together about the video game industry and
About Supremacy Software, specifically.
Indeed, about the definitely fictional world of abusive, exploitative video game AAA game development, that's a book. You can go pre-order it. Check out Who Hunts the Whale on Unbound, unbound.com/books/whale. Go give it a pre-order. There's a bunch of backer awards. You can get your name in the back of the book, get a signed copy, all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do you do?
Me, Laura K. Buzz, pretty much everywhere. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Patreon. That's the one that pays the bills. You can find other books I've done, Uncomfortable Labels, Things I Learned from Mario's Butt, Gender Euphoria. They're all out now. You can also check out some lovely little Laura K. Buzz logo enamel pins with the little trans pride wings on them on thegimporium.com. You can also check out podcasts I'm on. There's Pixel Squirt, which is about video game character pornography. Podquisition, where we tell you whether your favourite video games are great or perfect. There's Dice Funk, which is Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition real play podcast. Every season has its own story, so you can jump in wherever. Gene, what about you? What do you do?
Me? Oh,
Yeah.
not a lot.
No.
Not a lot.
No.
I mean, I work 76 hours a week. How do I justify that? Patreon.com/StonedMonkeyRadio. For as little as
Smooth.
$1 a month, you can help me justify that. You can help me work towards solvency and such. I edit videos for people. You can, if you go and watch TB Skyen's Pokemon Nuzlocke over on the 2B Skyen channel. I've been editing that. Go and show some love and talk about how you would love to see more of that.
Yeah.
Please. I've got t-shirts over on my Redbubble. I make music sometimes under the name Bedroom Programmer. I've got podcasts. You can find this show and Polyamory, and it's still spoopy times. Why not listen to the program over on my SoundCloud? That's Jane Aerith Magnet on SoundCloud. Probably just look for Stoned Monkey Radio. It's way easier. I think that's pretty much everything. Basically, patreon.com/StonedMonkeyRadio. Please help me reach my dream goal of 25 Patreons. Is going down instead of up. But if you'd like to help me do the opposite of that, that would be great.
Yeah.
Laura! Sing us out, please, darling.
Until next time, be a stranger.